Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We've got the Australian Grand Prix today. It is starting in half an hour, but there is a lot to get through before we get to lights out. Alright, I think you guys can hear me, and yeah, nice to see that we've got people tuning in even for a race that is so early in some parts of the world. Um, so we obviously had qualifying yesterday and we had Leclerc get pole position. I think this is his third career pole. Yeah, third career pole for Charles Leclerc, and there is a statistic which is in his favour very much. Every single time Leclerc has got pole position, he's gone on to win the race. So it looks very, very good for Charles Leclerc this weekend round. He's obviously not been so good around Melbourne in the past, but this weekend he really picked up his game and performed when it mattered in Q3 and did a really good lap and beat Verstappen. I actually went through their side by side between Latifi and not Latifi. Why have I just said Latifi? Between Verstappen and Leclerc, and both of the drivers were pretty much identical in terms of lap time, all the way up until the second to last corner, where Leclerc took the proper racing line and Max Verstappen slightly went a bit too close to the curb and lost a bit of time, and that was the 3/10 gap. So up until the second to last corner, they were both identical, and then it was the second to last corner that decided who got pole. So it was absolutely crazy. Um, yeah, my suggested poll asking people if they've liked and subscribed or both as a reminder. Yeah, I'll do that then probably. Um, but we've got 200 and nearly 170 people tuning in. If you guys haven't hit the like button or subscribe, be sure to do so. It does help out the channel. Um, And yeah, there's going to be a very good battle between the Red Bulls and the Ferraris, as Brian Savage has said. Um, Leclerc and Verstappen, this is now round three of their battle at the front of the field. And I mean, it's been really good for the past two races. So I've no doubt that we're going to have some great racing between the pair of them this weekend. And the interesting thing was that Leclerc and Verstappen were so close to each other for getting pole position. Carlos Sainz was all the way down in ninth place. He said in the post quality interviews that everything that could have went wrong did go wrong for him. So Sainz really not having a good weekend whatsoever. After qualifying in ninth position, he's got it all to do to try and get a bit higher up. He ended up 1.5 seconds off Charles Leclerc after Q3. Um, so everything just went wrong for him. But tomorrow's another day, and he's just gonna. Well, today's another day, and he's gonna try um and pick up the pace. So yeah, gonna be interesting because the track layout one DRS has been removed. Yeah, well, it's three DRS zones like it was back in 2019. So um. Obviously, oh, the other thing was in 2019, the last time we raced here, there was only 10 on-track overtakes. Um, and then the time before that there was five on track overtakes, and then the time before that there was only two on track overtakes. So Albert Park is a very interesting circuit, of course, but the problem is that it was very narrow in the past. So the race organizers have decided to widen the track in loads of different places, especially in overtaking opportunities. Down at turn number three, at turn number one, at turn number 11, they've made the track a lot wider. So going side by side is a lot easier. There's less chance of you just getting pushed off the road. Um, so the track organisers have done a really good job to help that overtaking, and hopefully with the new cars this year and with the widened track, we can see a lot more overtaking this weekend. So that's what we're hoping for. We'll have to find out if that actually happens though. All right. Yeah, we could probably hit 30k subs. I mean, that's my target. I think we're 700 subs away from hitting 30k subs. So if you guys haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. Um, Maybe we could even hit 35k subs. Who knows? Kiez is our weather reporter in Australia because Kiez is actually watching the race in Melbourne. So it's pretty windy apparently. So that's gonna be something to watch out for. We could see drivers spinning because of tailwind's going to be a madness. Well, Kies, do you know which corner the tailwind is coming into? Because obviously you're watching the track from somewhere. So, do you know which corner we're going to have a tailwind in? Because that would be great to know, especially if there's going to be overtaking going down there. Because a tailwind and overtaking means there's going to be a lot of drivers going to overshoot the corner. Um, and if they overshoot the corner, then they go onto the gravel, which could bring out safety cars, yellow flags, and the whole lot. So that's going to make the race pretty exciting. Um, but yeah, right. So let's talk about the strategy that can actually that like the teams are going to do. So it's either a one stop or a two stop strategy, depending on like how the tire wear is. So how it is because the track has been changed this year round. They've resurfaced the entire track as well. So there's a different like bit of okay. So the worst looks to be around the back straight and turn 7. The buttery crash spot from yesterday. All right, turn number 7 is okay. So turn number 7's down there. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. Um, turn number 7's I think it's the end of sector number 1. So yeah, right. We'll have a look at. We'll keep sure. Yeah, and if there was DRS down there, it's going to be pretty difficult. Yeah. Right, so the race strategies, we have an expected one-stop strategy that Pirelli have said would be the fastest. So it's going to be start on the medium tires and then go on to the hard tires. And then the second fastest strategy would be start on the mediums, go on to the hards, and then finish on the mediums. So it's a split strategy. It could be a one-stop, could be a two-stop, and that makes the race pretty interesting because it becomes a strategy battle as well as an on-track battle. Um, but the thing is, if the new track resurfacing that has happened and if that causes more tire wear than expected, then we could be seeing a two-stop strategy. It really does depend on how the medium tires actually hold up on the new track surface because um, we haven't raced on this new track surface. So it affects the graining of the tires, and as the race goes on, we can only find out how that happens. So yeah, more mind games from Leclerc. Well, we could definitely see that happening. But Leclerc's going to have to play some pretty strong mind games because he's got a solid disadvantage in the strategy department because Sainz is all the way down in P9, whereas Perez and Verstappen is second and third. So it's disadvantage Leclerc. So he's going to have to play some serious mind games if he's going to hold on to that first position. Um, so what actually happened yesterday was Leclerc broke the record. He was the first person in the turbo hybrid era to actually get pole position at Melbourne, um, other than Lewis Hamilton. So breaks Lewis Hamilton's record there, and it's the first time ever since 2007 that Ferrari have actually been on pole position at Melbourne. So we've obviously had a lot of close battles between Ferrari and Mercedes in like 2017, 2018, but they've never got pole position. Um, so that just shows you that Ferrari are really starting off the season strong and actually getting some pole positions here. Wins from P3. Yeah, the wins are most likely from second and third position. So the drivers who start second or the drivers who start third are most likely to actually go on to win the race according to the stats. Um, and yeah, so the last 4 Australian Grand Prix winners have come from the second or third on the grid, and that's where Verstappen and Perez are, which are the Red Bulls' starting positions. So it looks pretty good that it's pretty good odds that Verstappen and Perez are going to win the race, but then Leclerc's won every single race he's got pole position at. So the odds are in both of the guys' favors. So we'll actually find out what happens on track because that is going to be a very exciting battle between the top 3. Um, Will it be another Max versus Leclerc, or will Lewis climb a few spots? Well, Lewis did qualify in 5th position, and I think he could overtake Lando Norris on the race start, but I don't think he's going to have the race pace to keep up with the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. Usually, after about 3 or so laps, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls have already gained like 5-6 seconds on the rest of the field, so it's going to be pretty difficult for either the McLarens or the Mercedes to try and keep up with these guys. Yeah. Checo is very good at time management. Yeah, so we could see that happen actually. If the tyre wear does get out too high, um, if the tyre wear does get too high, then Sergio Perez could be in a very good shot for winning this race. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, Leclerc got pole at Monaco and didn't even start. Yeah, well, I guess every single race he's started and also been on pole position, he's went and gone on and won the race. But yeah, that was what I meant when I said that stat. Um, but yeah, Leclerc's luck at home is really not that good. And talking about luck of home, we've got this is Daniel Ricciardo's home race, and this is his best qualifying at in Australia since 2015, where he was where he was sixth with Red Bull. So he's now in seventh position with McLaren. His best qualifying in Australia since 2015. So it's been a long time since he's qualified well at his home race. And with Lando Norris up in fourth, that McLaren definitely does have the pace to be fighting there just at the outskirts of the podium. And if there is a battle between Leclerc and Verstappen and one of the drivers get taken out, or both of them, then Daniel Ricciardo should be there to capitalise and maybe even get a podium at his home race, which would be pretty crazy. Hope Sainz can gain places. Yeah. So the thing is, Sainz is in ninth place and Fernando Alonso is 10th. Fernando Alonso said after the interview, because he crashed, as Kier said in the chat. So Fernando Alonso crashed in qualifying. And he said after the qualifying that he could have actually got pole position. Well, he could have been in the fight for pole position at least. So Fernando Alonso definitely has the pace. He definitely has the race pace as well to go up the field. So we could see Sainz and Alonso battling their way from ninth and 10th all the way up into fourth and fifth, which would be a great battle to watch, especially Sainz and Alonso versus maybe Hamilton and Russell or Russell and Ricciardo. Like those battles are going to be great to watch. So those two drivers progressing up the field is going to be something to keep an eye on. And yeah. Alonso could have, yeah, Alonso, yeah, he was flying in sector two. The Alpines are an absolute rocket ship down the straights, down the back straight especially. They have got so much top speed. They are quicker than the Red Bulls and the Ferraris going down the back straight. So it's looking very good for Alpine to make some overtakes because obviously you need the top speed to make the overtakes. So Alpine have got a lot of that and a lot more to come as well. So well, the odds are in Alpine's favor, and we could maybe see a battle between Sainz and Alonso. And the thing is, Sainz and Alonso. Well, Sainz's like childhood F1 hero is actually Fernando Alonso. So it's very interesting that he's racing against his childhood hero, and he'll be battling all the way. He'll be battling against him all the way up the field as well. Um, Esteban Ocon is in eighth place. That's the first time ever he's been in Q3 in Melbourne. And a very good job indeed. But the thing was, obviously, Fernando Alonso was a lot quicker than Esteban Ocon. Even though he did make it through into Q3, Fernando Alonso had a lot more pace. So Ocon's really got to pull his socks up and put some quality pace in on on these race stints here. He could maybe go for an alternate strategy, try and put himself up the field. We'll just have to wait and see. Would love to see Fernando have a great race. Yeah. Right. So let's see what else is it. So we're 16 minutes away from the race start. Um, yes. So Sebastian Vettel is starting the race in 17th position, and he's only completed 26 laps of like driving an F1 car in the 2022 season. If we ignore testing, because that's technically pre-season testing, not the season itself. He's only done 26 laps in the entirety of this season. He's done 18 laps in FP1, 5 in FP3, and then 3 in Q1. So Vettel has really got it all to do. He's got to adapt to this new Aston Martin car in race conditions, which he's never raced in, of course, because Hulkenberg's been driving for him in the first two races. And just got to try and get further up the field. We'll see how that goes for him. Then we've got Latifi and Stroll starting alongside each other. Both of the Canadians had a bit of an incident yesterday, and they really need to be a lot more careful, and Stroll really needs to look in his mirrors. I mean, if he really doesn't look in his mirrors whatsoever, Aston Martin probably could remove them and it would make no difference whatsoever, to be honest. But Latifi and Stroll are starting in 18th and 19th, and then Alex Albon has been disqualified because of a fuel irregularity. He didn't have enough fuel in the tank after qualifying for the FIA to get a sample. If you guys remember back to Hungary last year, Vettel finished the race in second place, but then got disqualified because he didn't have enough fuel in the car for the FIA to check they weren't like using some illegal fuel. And the same happened here for Alex Albon. He didn't have enough fuel, so the FIA couldn't be sure that they weren't cheating. But I mean, if you look at the Williams' pace, I'm pretty sure they're not cheating because yeah, they're 18th and 20th. So but yeah, the rules are the rules, and Alex Albon got disqualified, so he's starting in 20th position. Also, guys, we've got 1,600 people watching. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. And if you haven't subscribed as well, please be sure to do that. All right. Let me know what your predictions are in the chat below, because we've got 15 minutes till the race starts. So I'm going to be reading all of your chat messages, and I'll hopefully respond to all of them as well. So if you have any questions or anything, do let me know. Right, I'm going to be reading the chat, so type away. All right, so let's see. I think that we're going to get I think we're going to get a bit of a collision here between Leclerc and Verstappen, to be honest, because of the fact that we've got three DRS zones. And I think it's at turn number 11. It is, yeah, turn number 11, which is the corner after the long chicane. We're going to get both the drivers go side by side into there, and then one driver is going to brake a bit too late because of a tailwind, and they're just going to hit the barrier, which, well, they're going to go onto the gravel basically, and then they're going to be quite a bit of squabbling between the FIA and the teams, because yeah, they really don't want, well, the FIA really don't want any trouble. But when there's two cars battling for the lead, there's going to be a lot of controversy every single time. So we'll see how that goes for Leclerc and Verstappen. They've been actually pretty respectful over the past couple of weekends, so maybe they could carry on. But yeah, once the tension starts going and the championships gets going, we have Leclerc on 51 points, and I think Verstappen is on 25 points, I think. I'll just double check the standings, but yeah, every single point counts because this season is going to be very, very close indeed. So we've got Leclerc on 45 points, Carlos Sainz on 33, and then Max Verstappen on 25 points. Yeah, so every single point counts in this season. So they will be battling it out and trying scoring as many points as possible. So yeah, given that there will be some safety car or red flag, yeah. Well, there could be a chance that Leclerc, oh no, not Leclerc, Latifi causes that red flag because as we had a poll before, I think 85% of you or something said Latifi would crash, which is, yeah, pretty high. He has crashed in the past two races as well, so the odds are really not in his favor. He really just needs to get a bit more consistent, to be honest. But yeah, we'll have to find out. All right. So, yeah, Pirelli's strategy is that the drivers are going to start on the medium tyres and they're going to pit between lap number 17 and 27. So, approximately like halfway through the race, if they can go on the medium tyres, depending on what the tyre wear is like, actually. And then they will decide whether to like actually go all the way to the, like, just go for a one stop or go for a two stop, because depending on the tire wear, the drivers could go for a one stop. I mean, I think Sergio Perez could definitely do a one stop with the top two doing a two stop, and then that would bring them all three together for the final couple of laps of the race, which would be really exciting to watch. But yeah, it's a pretty warm day back in Melbourne, so the tires are going to get um, pretty hot and might start overheating as well. So what Alex Albon had a three-place grid penalty and then got disqualified. Yes, that is correct. But obviously he got disqualified, so he's going to start in last place anyway. So that's what's happened with Alex Albon. Um, the wind is at a solid 25 kilometers an hour, and I think it's going to stay this way for a while. All right. Well, that's good to know. So 25 kilometer per hour wind. If it's a tailwind, there's going to be a lot of issues with drivers braking too late, especially on lap number one. So that'll be something to watch out for, and I really can't wait for that to actually. We really can't wait for lap one to actually begin. Also, the other thing is that Pirelli have brought the C2 tyres, C3 tyres, and C5 tyres. If you guys usually remember which tyres Pirelli bring, it's usually consecutive numbers, so C2, C3, C4. But this time, the soft tyres are the C5, so they're really going to wear out very, very fast. So it's pretty much like a completely impractical strategy to start on the soft tyres. We will actually get the data coming through in a couple of minutes on which tyres the drivers have chosen. Um, but yeah, we'll have to just wait and see till that data comes through. All right. So George Russell has said about the Mercedes that it's not actually that nice to drive. Can Daniel Ricciardo win? Yes. I mean, Daniel Ricciardo can technically win. If everyone else crashes, then Daniel Ricciardo can win. But I think there's going to be have to be a pretty big incident between Leclerc and Verstappen if Daniel Ricciardo is going to end up and win the race. Right, so George Russell has said that it's not a pleasant drive at the moment. So the Mercedes is, well, it's obviously improved in pace because it was qualifying down in 9th and 10th in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, but now they're up into 5th and 6th. But the problem is that it's not a very nice drive and it's not very, like the drivers aren't very confident about it. So they have like, what have they done? They Because obviously if you don't have confidence in the car, you can't push to the absolute limit. So the Mercedes really have to make their drivers, sorry, a bit more comfortable with the car and make a bit more confident so they can actually push. Um, they've been doing everything they can to improve the lap time, but yeah, Mercedes and Hamilton and Russell are really just trying to maximize the amount of points they can get right now until they can find a proper solution to their issues that they've got in their car. Right. I'm just gonna try and get the interval data coming up. It probably should come through actually, but I'm just wondering why it's not. Okay, so we go there. Right. Well, when that data comes through, we'll fix that. Um, okay, so the race is about to begin. We've got 3,000 people watching. The race hasn't even started. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button or subscribed, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. And trying to hit 30k subs. So I'll actually check how many we're on now. Um, we are on. We're 600 subscribers away. So we've got 3,000 people watching. So if you guys haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. All right. Getting back to the race, though, we have now got 6 minutes till we have the yellow flag. Not the yellow flag, the formation lap. Sorry. Um, and also, just another thing, when the drivers do pit eventually, they lose 19.1 seconds under like when they go for a pit stop under green flag conditions, and they lose 12 seconds when if they pit under the safety car or the virtual safety car. So they gain around about 7 seconds if they do pit under the virtual safety car, or the safety car, of course. Um, So it's looking well. If you do pit, of course, it's your odds of winning the race go up a lot, and odds of making a lot of overtakes as well. So predicting maybe a safety car could really help you out, but you never know when that safety car is going to come out. So all right, 5 minutes till lights. Well, till the formation lap. Um, we're probably just going to go through the entire starting grid, really. All right. Wake up, everybody, and tell them to subscribe. Well, hello, Manuel Fernandez. Nice to see that you are back. So let's get started for this race then. Right. So we have on the front row of the grid we have Leclerc and Verstappen. It's going to be round number 3 of battling between these two drivers. Lap one's going to be as exciting as ever as these two pull away from the starting grid, and we're going to find out what tires that they have decided to choose for the race. Right, let's see what tires the teams have actually chosen. Has that come through yet? No. Okay. Um, and then on the second row of the grid, we've got Perez and Norris. And Lando Norris has really bounced back. McLaren have bounced back as well. They were absolutely horrible in the first 2 races of the season, but they have picked up the pace and they've brought an upgrade. And here they are in 4th and 7th position. So a solid job from McLaren bouncing back. Then in the third row, we've got a Mercedes lockout. Hamilton and Russell in 5th and 6th position, and then we've got Daniel Ricciardo in 7th, alongside Esteban Ocon in 8th. Both of those drivers having nearly record-breaking qualifyings in Melbourne for their own personal record. We've got Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz on the 5th row of the grid, and they are really not having a good time. Yesterday, for qualifying for both of them was absolutely horrific. So these guys are going to be making a lot of overtakes to try and get further up the field because their race pace is a lot quicker than 9th and 10th position. Then 11th and 12th, we have Pierre Gasly and Valtteri Bottas. Both of those drivers just narrowly missed out on Q3 yesterday. And they're just going to be doing their absolute best to try and score some points. The same goes for Yuki Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou. We've got Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo. So we're going to see the battle between the two more experienced drivers, Gasly and Bottas, and probably a battle between Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou. Then we've got Schumacher and Kevin Magnussen. The first time, in fact, Schumacher has actually outqualified Kevin Magnussen in this season round. He was quicker in Saudi Arabia, but then he did go and have a crash, so that was unfortunate for him. But we've got now and 15th and 16th, Schumacher and Magnussen starting alongside each other, and then we've got Vettel and Latifi in 17th and 18th. Latifi's really just trying to stay out the wall this race, and Vettel has only done 26 laps in the entire season, so he's really got to find his feet before he starts pushing. And then we've got Stroll and Albon closing out the grid. Stroll obviously had that crash yesterday, so he's not going to be doing that great. And Alex Albon has been disqualified under a fuel irregularity, so that's why he's starting in 20th position. But his car was totally fine. He just didn't have enough fuel in the car for the FIA to take a sample, so that is why Alex Albon is starting in 20th position. All right, we've got nearly 4,000 people watching. If you guys haven't hit the like button or subscribed, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. And yeah. Right, thank you everyone for tuning in. Let's get going now. So we're gonna have the formation lap undergo like starting in 1 minute's time, and then we will obviously have the race going on after the formation lap. So let's get started for some proper racing because right. So here we go. Imagine if Latifi crashes again. Well, I think that might happen, but we'll just have to wait and see now. So formation lap will be starting in 30 seconds. The risk of rain is 0%. We have some team radio from Sergio Perez, so let's just play this. Right.
So, quick reminder, pit limiter off, fire up with the brakes, 5-point fine once on the ground, and your practice start. All those things we talked about for the formation lap, get that tyre temp. And then 5 proper burnouts from the DRS line, 5 decent burnouts. And then it's time to go racing.
Yeah, that is it. It's time to go racing. The formation lap will begin in like 10 seconds. The tire information is in. So we have both Aston Martins, Alonso, Magnussen, Albon, and Sainz have all started on the hard tires. Everyone else is starting the race on the medium tires. So we'll wait and see how that plays out for those guys. But the problem, if you listen to Sergio Perez's team radio properly, what has happened is that the tires need to be in the correct window, like for sure, because the tires are very sensitive to temperature change and it's very, very hot. So Sergio Perez has been instructed to do 5 burnouts, 5 proper good burnouts to get that rear tire temperature. By the time once he actually gets to the grid, he'll have enough tire temperature. And the same for Max Verstappen, obviously. So we are underway on the formation lap. The race hasn't begun just yet, but all of the drivers are now driving around, weaving, trying to get as much tire temperature as possible before we start racing. Right, so there we go. That's the... Oh, wait, I've just clicked past it. All right, so that's the tire information. Vettel and Stroll are starting on used hards, but they're only 1 lap old. Schumacher is starting on 2 lap old mediums, but everyone else is on fresh sets of tires. All right, so this is it. The formation lap, Verstappen and Leclerc coming out of the third to last corner, and they're pretty keen to get going because they need... the problem is, because these guys are right at the front of the field, right? What happens is, once they get to the grid, they've got to stop there and wait for every single other driver to actually get to the grid. So their tires cool down so much because they're just waiting there for everyone else to start, to like get to their grid position. So it's going to be really unfortunate for those guys. They're losing a lot of tire temperature. And the other thing is to mention, Charles Leclerc is on pole position, and all of the odd number drivers are going to be starting on the left-hand side of the grid. And then all of the even number drivers are going to be starting on the right-hand side of the grid. And the left-hand side of the grid is the clean side of the grid, and they're going to have a lot more grip off the line. So if your favorite driver is starting on an odd number, they're going to have a pretty good race start compared to anyone else who's starting on an even number, because they're on the wrong side. They're on the dirty side of the grid, basically. But this is it now. The driver's now coming through the final couple of corners, and we're going to have lights out very, very soon. We've got nearly 6,000 people watching. I think we could go on to break my record for a record number of viewers. So if you guys haven't subscribed and liked, really would help out the channel, and it basically tells YouTube that you're loving the live stream. So go ahead and do that. And we will be going racing very, very soon now. As Alex Albon now comes to his grid position, we will have the lights go out and we will start racing. All right. Cannot wait for this race. Leclerc is pulling up into P1 and Alex Albon has now just stopped in 20th position. All right, so we will have lights out in a couple of seconds. Let me know your predictions in the chat below, and we're going to go racing. All right. And this is it, lights out, and away we go. Leclerc still holds the lead. Hamilton's gained 2 positions off the race start. Absolutely great race start for him, going through turn number 1 and 2. Verstappen and Leclerc are basically side by side, and they're going to be DRSing and slipstreaming each other for a very long time for this race now. We've got Perez lost 1 position. Norris had a horrible race start. He lost 2 positions. Carlos Sainz, who had a horrible qualifying yesterday, he's lost 4 positions off the race start. But back at the top of the field, we've got Leclerc, then Verstappen, then Hamilton, and then Perez. Right. So this is it. The race has started, and Hamilton and Leclerc have already pulled away Hamilton and Verstappen and Leclerc, have pulled away by 2 seconds already. You can see on the map they've already pulled a massive gap to everyone else behind them, and we're just going to see this gap extend more and more. Leclerc sets the fastest first sector by an absolute long shot, And the best race start for all of the drivers. Hamilton's had a great race start, and so has Pierre Gasly. Both of those drivers gaining 2 positions, and Carlos Sainz losing out big time. We're going to see DRS get enabled in 2 or 3 laps now, but it's a very good race start, very clean race start as well. No incidents, considering it is a street circuit. No incidents for anyone, and all getting through lap number 1 very, very cleanly. We have now Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton going down the straight, slipstreaming each other as well. Verstappen is staying firmly within Leclerc's DRS range. We're going to get the top speed data come through in a couple of seconds now, and we're going to see, so Leclerc and Verstappen pretty much got the same top speed. Whoops, right, I'm just going to zoom out. I have accidentally, there we go. There we are. Right, that's fine. So Leclerc and Verstappen have pretty much got the identical top speeds, so they're going to be it's going to be very close between these two drivers. Sainz is down to P13 though. The hard tires is really not working out for them. So if we look at the tires that everyone is starting on, let's see, where is it? So Carlos Sainz started on those hard tyres, and he did not get enough tyre temperature, and he dropped all the way from 9th position all the way down to 14th. But look at this, he's got a fastest middle sector, so those hard tyres have clearly warmed up a bit, but Carlos Sainz has dropped 7 positions. It looks like he's had a bit of a crash, or is the data glitched? Because this happens sometimes, right? I know we got a yellow flag, so it looks like Carlos Sainz is out of this race. So that is very unfortunate. We could see a full safety car, but we've got a yellow flag right now. Let's see how that goes. All right, so Carlos Sainz has stopped at the edge of turn number 11. He's lost 7 positions. He looks to be out of this race. I think he might be stuck in the gravel, to be honest, because on the edge of turn number 11, that's where Vettel crashed in FP3. So it looks like he might have... might be stuck in the gravel. Really unfortunate for Carlos Sainz. That really does not help him in the championship battle whatsoever. Okay, so Chies has said Carlos Sainz is in the wall. So I don't know why they're still racing, because turn number 9 and 10 are very high speed corners. So if Sainz, we got virtual safety car, right, here we go. Virtual safety car, there we go. So anyone could go into the pits, of course, right now, but I don't think it would be the ideal strategy to go into the pits. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out for the rest of the guys in the don't know how long it's going to take to actually clean that car up. But yeah, the Sainz race is over. So what happened was, he was at turn number 9. He lost it through turn number 9. They cut over the grass, and then because he was over the grass, he had no grip whatsoever, and then slid straight onto the gravel. So really unfortunate there for Carlos Sainz. It's only been 3 laps of this race, and we've already got a virtual safety car. We've got a full safety car. All right, here we go. Full safety car. Love to see it. So now it's going to be another restart where Leclerc has to defend against Max Verstappen, and I cannot wait for this. All right. We've got 7,000 people tuning in. Everyone that is tuning in, thank you so much for the support. And if you guys haven't hit the like button or subscribe, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. In fact, yeah, really does help out. All right. I'm going to try and just get the interval data loaded up, because I cannot seem to get it loaded up, and I have no idea where it is. But the interval data is basically where... Oh, we've got some team radio from Carlos Sainz, actually. Let's just play this. All right, so here we go.
What can I do? Tell them to push me if they can.
So Carlos Sainz really wants to get back into this race. He's just been told, tell them to push me. I don't even know if that's allowed, if the marshals are allowed to push the drivers back in so they can actually restart the race. But yeah, so there we go. We've got Carlos Sainz is out of this race, and Lance Stroll has pitted right at the start. He's pitted from the hard tyres onto the medium tyres, and he's put himself down into 19th position, has Lance Stroll. So that's not great for him. But we'll wait and see if that pays off for him. He's right at the back of the pack, but he will catch up, of course. We'll see how long it takes for the drivers, for the marshals to clear up Carlos Sainz's car, and then we will have some proper racing on our hands. All right. So Leclerc is leading the pack, of course, behind the safety car. And I think what's happening is because we're on a street circuit, the drivers are going well. The safety car is going pretty slow because he hasn't got that much. He's got no runoff, and he's just got to drive pretty slowly because the track isn't that wide. The drivers who are on the mediums, this is going to help their tires, of course, but it's also going to be cooling their tires off a lot. So the drivers really do have to be careful about if the tires are doing to try and keep the tire temperature going under the safety car conditions, because it's really not great for them. All right, so let's see. Lando Norris's race start, he was really slow off the line. So he dropped from fourth position down into sixth. So we have the two McLarens running in sixth and seventh position, and it's looking it's not looking too great for them because the Mercedes have gone and found themselves up in third and fifth position, and Perez has got it all to do now to try and overtake Lewis Hamilton on the safety car restart. Stroll has pitted again, apparently. Yes, Stroll's pitted again, and he's gone onto the hard tires. Now, that is very odd. I mean, I don't know what the Aston Martin guys are doing now. Did they just pit the wrong tire, or did they... I have no idea what they've just done. But they've pitted early for some reason, and then they've pitted again under the safety car. Very, very odd strategy there from the Aston Martin guys. We'll just wait and see if it actually plays out for them, or if not. All right. So let's see. Carlos Sainz, he really didn't get any traction whatsoever on this hard tires. So that's what happened. I think the hard tires for Carlos Sainz really didn't go well. How did Sainz go out? He crashed into the barrier at turn number 11. So that is why he is out of this race. Those hard tires really didn't work out for him. We've got some team radio from Daniel Ricciardo, so let's just play this. All right.
So, Daniel, the hard start did not look that easy. Alonso managed to hold position. Sainz had a poor getaway and then was losing positions and obviously span off in turn 10. When we fit the hard, it's likely to take a few laps to come in. Okay, understood.
Okay. Oh, I know what Aston Martin are doing. Just one thing to note here. So, because Stroll has pitted on the hards, and then he started the race on the hards, went to the mediums, and then came out on the hards again. Stroll can technically go to the end of the race on these tires. So, I think Aston Martin are just going like full send. We're just going to tell you to tire manage for the entire race, and then go from lap number 53 lap number 6, all the way to lap number 58 on one set of tires, if possible. So that's what Aston Martin is saying that Lance Stroll could do. It's going to take him a while for those tires to heat up, and it's going to be disadvantaged for Fernando Alonso as well. Anyone starting the race on the hard tires, it takes a long time for those to warm up, especially because those are the C2 tires, where usually we would have the C3 tires as the hard tires. So it's not great for any of the teams really. Any of the drivers, on the hard tires. So Lance Stroll, I think what he's doing is trying to just go full send and go all the way to the end of this race. So yeah, very odd. Right, Max Verstappen, team radio. Let's just see what he has to say.
Initial balance limitations on that first couple of laps, Max?
No, just managing a bit high speed corners, but it's not too bad. Just look, be careful.
Yep, copy. Your apex speed through 5 and 12 was lower than Leclerc, so keep that up.
Okay, so I think the safety car is ending safety car ending this lap. All right, so let's just switch this from safety car to green flag, and then we're going to have a lot of action. Leclerc is really backing up the entire pack because he does not want Verstappen to get a jump on him. And Verstappen's going to be right on his toes. His reaction time is going to be his car eyes is going to be completely focused on where Leclerc is and when he's going to start accelerating. And it looks like he's done exactly just that. Leclerc is going straight down. It's going straight down the straight, and Verstappen is right on his tail. He does not get the overtake going into turn number 1, but turn number 2, there's a long straight going into turn number 3, and Leclerc and Verstappen are right on each other's tail, and yeah, Leclerc is really having a tough time keeping Verstappen behind here. 5/10 is the gap between the two drivers, and I think what's going to happen is that Verstappen's really going to be pushing Leclerc to the limit. All right, so yeah, there we go. So Verstappen's quicker through the first sector compared to Leclerc. So yeah, it's going to be pretty close between these two drivers. Perez is actually right on Hamilton's tail. Half a second is the gap. 0.4 of a second is the gap between those two drivers. Perez has got the quicker top speed compared to Lewis Hamilton. So going down the straight, it's going to be very easy. Well, it should be easy once DRS has been enabled for Perez to just breeze past Hamilton. But there's 2 laps till DRS will be enabled. We've got now coming to the end of lap number 7 of 58 laps of this Grand Prix, and we have Leclerc leading the race with Verstappen and Hamilton right on his tail. Further down the field, for the FIA have made it single file on a safety car restart. You can't go side by side on safety car restart, and that's the reason I think we haven't had a single overtake on this lap after the safety car restart. Nobody had enough pace to go past the single file rule and then also make the overtake actually happen. So it's a rather odd rule that the FIA have said that you can't go side by side on the safety car restart, but it is what it is. It must be for safety reasons, of course, but Leclerc still leading the way with the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.9 for Charles Leclerc, and a very nice job indeed that he's doing of managing the race. He's been doing this for the past couple of races, just starting off the race in first position and then managing it for very nicely for the large majority of the race. But then there's a spanner in the works, like a safety car, which could really offset Leclerc's hard work. So we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. We've got nearly 8,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. It really just boosts the stream in the YouTube algorithm, and it tells YouTube that you're enjoying the channel and the stream. So be sure to like and subscribe. Trying to hit 30k by the end of this stream, so we'll see if that can happen. We're like 97.8% to hit to that target. All right, so DRS is getting enabled this lap, and the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen is 1 second. So 1.1 seconds, in fact. So Verstappen is just out of DRS range, but I think what he's going to be doing is deploying the entirety of his battery to try and get past him. And Perez now is right on Hamilton's tail going down into turn number 3. The gap is closing, but Hamilton just manages to hold on for this lap. But I don't think he'll be able to hold on for much longer because Perez is putting so much pressure on him all the way throughout the first sector. And once he gets to sector number 3, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. Well, there's going to be one very big opportunity to make that overtake stick. But the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc has pulled away to 1.3 seconds, and Leclerc is just running away with the race lead here. Verstappen is in second place and 1.3 seconds behind him, so it's really not great. DRS has been enabled, but as you can see, Verstappen and Leclerc pulling away from the entire pack. Perez would be doing the exact same thing. And this is it. Perez's second chance at overtaking Hamilton. The gap between the two drivers is 0.3 of a second going into the turn number 11, and Perez is too far behind to make that overtake happen. But he's been getting closer and closer. At turn number 3, he was half a second away. At turn number 11, he was 0.3 of a second away. So this is going to be attempt number 3 for Sergio Perez to overtake Lewis Hamilton. Going now into turn number 1, the gap between the two drivers remains to be half a second going down the straight. So Perez is firmly within DRS range and definitely within slipstream. 0.3 is the gap going into the first corner. Perez decides to back off a bit because there's no point overtaking into turn number 1 if you're going to get overtaken back into turn number 3. So here we go. Perez slipstreams past Lewis Hamilton into turn number 3. Hamilton decides to fight it, but he cannot hold on. Sergio Perez done a very good job at defending after he overtook Hamilton going down that straight. So solid overtaking job there from Sergio Perez. And now we've got the grid has been the top 3 has been restored to as it was at the starting grid. We've got Leclerc, then Verstappen, and then Perez. But while while Perez and Hamilton were battling away, look at the gap Verstappen and Leclerc have pulled away from the entire field. They're literally in a league of their own. I mean, how have they done that? It's been like 4 laps since the safety car came in, and they've already pulled away about 3 or 4 corners compared to the rest of the field. Those drivers, this is why those drivers are fighting for the championship, and Carlos Sainz is unfortunately out of this race. All right, so we will be coming up to the pit stop window rather soon. If the tyre wear is high, the drivers will start pitting in 7 or so laps, and then we will be seeing a lot of. Well, then we'll see if it's a 2-stop race or a 1-stop race, depending on the drivers actually decide to pit. But why did Sainz retire? So Sainz retired because he crashed on lap number 3 of the race into turn number 11. He just didn't have enough grip on those soft tires, on those hard tires, sorry, and then he was out. Okay, so we have a bit of a train forming behind George Russell. I think it's forming behind Lewis Hamilton. In fact, we got Hamilton, then Russell, then Lando Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo. All in a train. That all 4 Mercedes powered cars are forming a train and trying to pull away. We had Fernando Alonso, who had great qualifying pace. In fact, yesterday he's starting the race on the hard tires, and he's managing to keep up with Pierre Gasly, who's on the medium tires, and Yuki Tsunoda is also on the medium tires. So Fernando Alonso doing a great job. Started the race on the hard tires, and he's actually managed to keep up with everyone who's on the mediums. Looks like Vettel's dropped down into 3rd position. Vettel went off the track. So that's not Vettel's only done 26 laps in an F1 car this season. So he went a bit too deep at turn number 11. That's in fact where we had the tailwind. There's 25 kilometer per hour tailwind going into turn number 11. So Vettel just getting caught out by the wind and going a bit wide onto the gravel. He skates over the gravel, though. His car is all right, so he's just carrying on. But he is now down in 19th place in last position. All right. A very big dust storm after Vettel got that Aston Martin out of the gravel. Also, back up at the top of the field, we've got Leclerc versus Verstappen. The gap is 3.5 seconds. Leclerc is really pulling away here. I don't know if Red Bull are deciding to conserve their tyres and Ferrari are deciding to go aggressive, but the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc is unusually large today. Also, we've got now Kevin Magnussen, who is just overtaken Guan Yu Zhou, and it's a very good job Kevin Magnussen has done that because he's on those hard tires, so every position he gains on those hard tires means just 1 less position to gain on the mediums and a lot less overheating for the mediums as well, which is definitely going to be a pretty big benefit. It's going to be a pretty big benefit for him later on in this race. He's in fact just overtaken his teammate as well. I think that might have been team order. I don't think it was team orders actually. I think he just made that overtake into turn number 11. Did Kevin Magnussen, but it was pretty fair racing. Magnussen gains 2 positions on the past 2 laps. Max is falling off. The gap was 3.5 seconds. Now it's 4.5 seconds. Leclerc is setting fastest lap after fastest lap. And it looks like that Ferrari's got a lot of pace. We've in fact just got some team radio from Ferrari. Let's see what they have to say.
Is that better like this? If I take less the curve, but I don't think that's better.
Yes, that's better for us. Thank you.
All right, so Leclerc is taking less curb. Leclerc is taking he's taking less curb than Verstappen and still managing to pull away. So a very nice job there from Charles Leclerc to manage those tires very well. All right, we'll see if. What was I going to say? So Ferrari's doing a very good job indeed. 5 seconds is the gap. He's just pulling away, and there's nothing Max Verstappen can do about it. If we look at the sector times, it's mainly sector number 3 where he's losing all of his time is Max Verstappen. He was nearly a second off in sector number 3 compared to Charles Leclerc. So it's really not looking great. It could be a 2-stop race depending on how high the tyre wear is. And looking how many positions Kevin Magnussen's actually gaining, he's gained another position, in fact, on Guan Yu Zhou on those hard tyres. It looks like those medium tyres are falling away very, very quickly indeed, and the hard tyres are getting faster and faster. So Kevin Magnussen doing a very nice job, just progressing up the field very, very slowly in that Haas car on those hard tyres. So if Kevin Magnussen could do that on the hard tyres, imagine what he could do on the medium tyres. So we'll just have to wait and see how long he can actually stay out on those hard tires. No one's on the soft because the soft are they're going to wear out way too quickly. So it'll be basically a stupid strategy to go out on the soft tires. And all right, we've got Nicholas Latifi, first driver to pit. He comes out on the hard tyres. The hard tyres are going to take a long time to warm up, but it's lap number 14 of 58, and we see the first pit stop occur not under the safety car conditions. So I have a feeling that this race is going to turn into a 2-stop race, but Red Bull may decide to go for a 1-stop because it looks like they haven't got the pure performance to actually challenge Ferrari. Yeah, all right, I'm going to show the interval. All right, let's just refresh the website. So if we go there, that should be the interval. All right, lovely. We are on lap number 14 of 58. And that's the interval there. So that should be all right. Hopefully that's what you guys wanted. All right, we've got team radio from Daniel Ricciardo. He is in 7th position. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Your tyre feedback broke up a bit. Could you please repeat?
Yep. So far, so good. Just a little bit on both axles.
Copy that, loud and clear.
All right, so not Charles Leclerc. What was I going to say? Daniel Ricciardo is doing a pretty nice job of managing his tyres. He's getting pretty even tyre wear between the front and the front and the rear axles. So basically, what was happening was his front tyres. What happens usually is either your front tyres wear out too much or your rear tyres wear out too much. But what is it? Daniel Ricciardo is having a pretty fair even tyre management between the front and the rear tyres, and that just means that you're going to have a good balance going on later into the race, which is very, very nice indeed. We're on lap number 14 of 48. I'm just going to try and fix this lap counter. All right. Right, 75, that should be fine there. And then we have 58 laps in this race. I'm just gonna fix this the number of laps that are showing up, because obviously it says 0 laps out of 58. So once I fix that, I'll restart the commentary. So sorry about this, guys. All right, so there we go. Wait, what's going on? There we are. Right, 17 of 58 laps. So thank you for waiting, guys. All right, so tire warm up is very, very tricky indeed. So looking at the tires that everyone is on, we have we have Lance Stroll on hard tyres, which are 11 laps old. And he is really, he's done a good job of warming those tyres up, but Latifi and Schumacher have both pit for the hard tyres, and warming those tyres up is very, very difficult indeed. Why is it doing that? Right. Okay. Warming those tyres up is very, very difficult indeed. So it's going to be probably 4 or 5 laps until those hard tyres actually get within to the workable tyre temperature range before they can start making some overtakes. Actually, talking of overtakes on hard tyres, we've got Fernando Alonso, who is actually 6 tenths behind Pierre Gasly, and he will be well on his way to actually try and make an overtake happen, because now he is going through the middle sector now, and that Alpine is an absolute rocket ship down the straights. So it's going to be advantage to Fernando Alonso, especially once he gets the DRS, to try and overtake Pierre Gasly and get further into those point scoring positions. But the problem is Pierre Gasly's also got DRS off his teammate, off Esteban Ocon, who's Fernando Alonso's teammates. So yeah, it's going to be difficult for Fernando Alonso because Pierre Gasly's also got DRS, but we'll have to wait and see. And Kevin Magnussen, who was doing well on those hard tyres, has now just lost the position to Guan Yu Zhou. So Guan Yu Zhou offering a great battle between himself and Kevin Magnussen. We've just got some driver going to the pits now, as far as I can tell. Yeah, Esteban Ocon has just pitted. He will be coming out on hard tyres as I expect. But a pretty good battle there between Guan Yu Zhou and Kevin Magnussen. And the rookie having a good battle. So it's nice to see that we're having a pretty fair battle here. So what happened to Kevin Magnussen was he was trying to overtake Guan Yu Zhou, but then he misjudged his braking zone, and then he ran wide onto the grass, and that's why he lost the position to Guan Yu Zhou. But great battle nevertheless. We've got team radio from George Russell. He is in 5th position now, 3 seconds behind Hamilton. Right, let's listen.
If you've got more pace, this is the time to use it.
All right. Okay. So actually, Kevin Magnussen lost the position at the same place where Carlos Sainz went off the track as well. So both drivers going off the track at the same place, and both drivers. And also Seb Vettel crashed there in FP3. Okay, Verstappen's just come into the pit, so let's see how that goes. Which tires he comes out on. But Verstappen's pitting rather early, considering he was going pretty slowly for the majority of this race. We'll have to wait and see. But Mercedes are trying to treat those medium tires as kindly as possible. But Verstappen comes out early on those hard tires, and we'll see how that works out for him, and if he can actually go to the end of this race on those tires. 40 laps on a set of tires is going to be very, very difficult to manage indeed. But we'll wait and see how that plays out for him. We'll see if Leclerc goes in for a pit stop, but the gap between Verstappen and Leclerc when he went into the pits was around about 10 seconds or so. So it's not looking great for Max Verstappen to try and undercut Charles Leclerc, especially with the fact that it takes a very long time for those hard tyres to warm up. But yeah, also guys, we've got 10,000 people watching. If you guys haven't subscribed, please be sure to do so. We could probably hit 30k subscribers if all of you guys do decide to subscribe. We're actually 25 subscribers away, so if you haven't subscribed, that would be absolutely lovely. And if you haven't ever hit the like button either, then that would be very much appreciated. All right, let's see who's coming to the pits. Yuki Tsunoda has just come into the pits as well. So we've had 4 drivers pit now from the medium tires onto the hard tires. Oh no, 5 drivers. Sorry, I forgot to include Max Verstappen. But Max Verstappen's got a bit of clean air now. So once he does pit, he's got now a 5-second gap to Daniel Ricciardo ahead of him to warm up his tires, get some proper tire temperature, and get those hard tires into the working condition before he can start pushing. And talking about Max Verstappen pushing, he's set a fastest 3rd sector, so he looks to have got those hard tires into the operating window a lot quicker than the rest of the pack. So a very good job there from Max Verstappen to try and to warm those tires up and pick up the pace as soon as he could. The gap between Hamilton and Perez is actually half a second. So Hamilton has now decided to go maximum attack and try and overtake Sergio Perez and potentially score a podium. Perez is in a net P3. if Verstappen hadn't pit, he would be in P3. So Hamilton is technically battling for third position here. He's half a second behind Sergio Perez going into sector number 3. He's got the DRS, but he's not close enough to make an overtake on this occasion. We'll see how that plays out for him in the next couple of laps, because he's on those medium tyres and they're going to start overheating rather soon. So we'll wait and see how Hamilton decides to manage that. We know he's very good with the tyres, but we'll just have to wait and see. Kevin Magnussen is into 11th position, overtaking Guan Yu Zhou. Sergio Perez has also decided to hit. Both Red Bulls decide to come into the pit lane, in fact, right now. So we've got the our 1, 2, 3 positions are Leclerc, Hamilton, and Russell. And pitting for the Red Bulls was actually a very good idea, because Verstappen has now just set the fastest lap of the race on the hard tyres. So very, very crazy indeed. And in fact, his last lap was 0.8 of a second faster than Leclerc's last lap. So those hard tyres are really working very, very well indeed for Max Verstappen. Yeah. I forgot who I was talking about for a second. But Lando Norris also comes into the pit. So we're around about lap number 21 and the hard tyres start wearing out. And this is exactly what Pirelli predicted. They predicted that if the hard tyres start wearing out around about lap number like 17, 18, 19, 20, then we're going to be seeing probably a one-stop race. And if they start wearing out after that, then... Oh no, if they start wearing out before that, then we're going to see a two-stop race. So we could be seeing what we're going to see most likely is a two-stop race. But Verstappen is picked quite early, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do 40 laps on those tyres. Pretty interesting, though, to see what the strategy will be from Red Bull's side of, well, from Red Bull's garage. All right. Carlos Sainz is out of this race. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is out of this race. I don't know why it's just been cut off by the whole subscriber goal. But yeah, Carlos Sainz is out of this race and he's in 20th position, so that's why he's not showing up. Daniel Ricciardo also comes into it. So both McLarens and both Red Bulls have pitted, but the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc and the two Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton and George Russell have not pitted just yet. We'll wait and see which drive when they decide to come into the pit stops. But according to Mercedes' team radio, they've decided to conserve those tires as much as possible before they come into the pits. So the Mercedes are definitely going for a one-stop strategy, and we've heard that over their team radio, but we don't know exactly what the Red Bulls are trying to do. Maybe there might be a safety car, or maybe Nicolas Latifi might crash, and we'll see a safety car. But Guan Yu Zhou has also come into the pits alongside Pierre Gasly, both drivers coming out on hard tyres, and we'll wait and see what happens there. So Verstappen is definitely gaining yet another fastest lap of the race for Max Verstappen, and once again 9/10 faster than Charles Leclerc. Leclerc pulls into the pits now. So when you pit, you lose 19.1 seconds when you go into the pit lane. So when Leclerc comes out, depending on the speed of his pit stop, he's either going to come out just ahead of Hamilton or just behind, sorry. Well, in fact, Hamilton also pits. So I think when Leclerc comes out the pit lane, he's just going to be ahead of George Russell. Yes, he is. So Leclerc pits and still maintains his lead. So a solid job there from Charles Leclerc. I mean, he's just been leading this race, absolutely dominating. He came into the pits and still is in the lead of this race. George Russell has done 22 laps on those medium tyres. Hamilton has just come into the pit lane, so I suspect next lap we're going to see George Russell come into the pits as well. But the gap that was previously 10 seconds has now come down to 5 seconds after Max Verstappen's undercut on Charles Leclerc. He's really been putting in a lot of fastest laps of the race. And hopefully that doesn't wear his tyres out too much, because he's still got another 36 laps of this race, 35 laps left of this race before he finishes, of course. We have a yellow flag. Oh no, we're back to green flag. Never mind. Oh no, we have a yellow flag again. It looks like someone stopped on track, and that is Seb Vettel, who has stopped on track outside turn number 4. This could be rather interesting. It could really benefit George Russell. And we've got a full safety car. Another safety car. All right. So we've got a full safety car. Seb Vettel is stopped on the left-hand side of the track there. On the track map, if you have a look, Seb Vettel is out of this race as far as I can tell. I don't think he's made a mistake. I think it must have been the Mercedes power unit, because it's rather unlikely that you would make a mistake in that part of the track. But yeah, definitely a very nice job there from Seb Vettel, and not from Seb Vettel, sorry, from Max Verstappen to actually gain all of that time under on Charles Leclerc. But the problem is now, if George Russell is now just pitted and he's gained so much time because he pit on the safety car, and he is now catapulted all the way himself. He's catapulted himself up into third position. We'll see if the hard tyre runners, so if Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen, or Alex Albon decide to pit, but they have still got a long 35 laps left to go, and I don't think they'll be able to do that on the hard tyres. So Lance Stroll has come into the pits once again, and I think what's going to happen is that he's going to come out on another set of hard tyres and potentially try and go to the end of this race. That would be a very good strategy indeed for Lance Stroll. We'll wait and see how that goes for him. All right, though. So safety car is out. Verstappen is ahead of George Russell, and we'll have all of the cars bunch up, and I'll see how long it takes for the drivers to clear up Seb Vettel's car. There's debris on the track. Okay, we'll wait and see what actually happened to Vettel then. Also, guys, we've hit 30k subscribers, so thank you for all of the support. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, well, hopefully we can go onwards and upwards to even more subscriber counts. So if you guys haven't hit the like button, please be sure to do so. Yeah, because we've got 12,000 people watching and only 1,300 likes. So yeah, if we could hit 2,000 likes, that would be pretty crazy. We've got Seb Vettel, who is stopped on track. It looks to be his Mercedes power unit that is the issue. We've got some team radio from Lance Stroll. Let's see what he has to say. Right.
So we're boxing, Lance. We are still boxing. Box for hard. Box for hard, and I'm adding a compound stepper flap.
Right, so Lance Stroll has boxed for hard tyres, and he has come out. So looks like Lance Stroll will be going to the end of the race on those sets of hard tyres. And actually, the only drivers who are probably going to pit after the safety car comes in are going to be Alex Albon, Kevin Magnussen, and Fernando Alonso. Everyone else has already made their pit stop, and it looks like they will probably go to the end of this race, especially depending on how long this safety car is. Because if this safety car is, let's say, Vettel spun when he came out of turn number 4, which ripped off his front wing. So that's why he is stopped on track. So I don't know if the spin caused the engine to stop or if he just stopped. But yeah, definitely not a great weekend for Seb Vettel. I really didn't have much practice in the car. In FP1, only did a couple of laps. FP2 didn't drive for the entire session. In FP3, did 3 laps, I think. Oh, no, did 5 laps. And then in Q1, only 3 laps. So yeah, he only had 26 laps of racing under the in this entire season. Now he's done an extra 25 laps. So a weekend to forget for Sebastian Vettel. And yeah, we'll just see how he can bounce back. And hopefully Aston Martin can bounce back. Like McLaren and Mercedes have done. All right. The debris from Vettel was the front wing, so we're gonna have to clear. The marshals are gonna have to clear that up. And Albon has come into the pits under the safety car, I think, and he has come out in 10th position. Oh no, Albon hasn't pitted yet, but Albon's in 10th position, nevertheless. So a pretty good job there from Alex Albon to actually start from 20th position, get all the way up into 10th. Of course, he's still yet to pit, but nevertheless, a good job to recover all of those lost positions from yesterday. Right, yeah, Latifi is still waiting for the perfect time to crash. Well, he's right at the back of the field, so if he does crash, he's not going to crash into anyone. And yeah. All right, so we will have the safety car coming in a couple of laps' time. It's not coming in just yet because there's quite a bit of debris still on the track, and I think this is another opportunity for Max Verstappen to actually make an overtake on Charles Leclerc, because of course on the medium tires, Leclerc was pulling away, and he was pulling away fast, right? But now on these hard tires, the gap between the two drivers is probably going to close up, and we're going to have 0.8 of a second. Well, the gap right now is 0.8 of a second. DRS will be enabled when two laps after the safety car has come in, and then we'll see some proper racing between Leclerc and Verstappen. And I mean, Verstappen's definitely got the pace on the medium tyres. He's been setting so many fastest laps. So, just can't wait for Max Verstappen to have a great battle with Charles Leclerc and George Russell as well. He's really benefited off that safety car and put himself up all the way up into third position, and he hasn't got any pit stop left to make. But yeah. All right, we've got 12,000 people watching. So if you're just joining us right now, I'm just going to give you a quick update of what's gone on. So Carlos Sainz, he crashed at the start of this race. So he spun off into the gravel right at the start because he didn't have enough tyre temperature. Vettel also spun into the barriers on his own. And that is why he's out of this race. Those are the only two drivers that are out of this race. We've had two safety cars, and both because of the two drivers that have crashed. And that's been about it, really. We've had some pretty good battles between Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton. Both of those drivers are now in 5th and 6th positions, respectively. We've got Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen, and Alex Albon yet to pit. And every other driver has made a pit stop and could potentially go to the end of this race, depending on their tyre management skills and what pace they decide to drive the car at. And yeah, there we go. Everyone that has tuned in for the stream, very much do appreciate it. All your support in the chat as well, all the nice messages. I obviously can't keep up with all of the messages because there's so many, but we're under the safety car conditions, and it's still going on. The safety car will come in, I think, probably in it's a pretty long safety car because I don't think there's an escape road close to where Vettel crashed. But nevertheless, the safety car will come out. Will come in probably, and I think it might actually be coming in now because all of the drivers have decided to bunch up. So we probably do have a safety car coming in this lap, as far as I can tell, because the drivers were not this bunched up before. Right, all right. So let's see where we can change the virtual safety car to green flag. There we go. We should have the safety car coming in this lap. I mean, we've never seen this before unless the safety car's coming in. Yeah, safety car is in this lap. Just got it confirmed. All right, so this is it then. Leclerc, the drivers, there's a new rule. You can only be single file lines under safety car conditions, but we've now got Leclerc versus Verstappen going down the straight. Now, 0.3 is the gap between the two drivers. Verstappen is now side by side going into turn number 1. Verstappen decides to make the move on Charles Leclerc. Can he make it stick? And no, he does not. So Leclerc maintains the lead over Max Verstappen very, very narrowly. But going down into turn number 3, he's going to have another overtaking opportunity. And Verstappen decides to play it safe on this one. They were side by side going to turn number 1. Turn number 3, Verstappen decides to play it safe, but he's going to have another overtaking opportunity at turn number 11. So it's going to be pretty close between these two drivers. George Russell as well is also going to get involved in this battle because he's got a fresh set of hards, and he's only 1.3 seconds behind Charles Leclerc, so it's going to be pretty close indeed. Sainz and Vettel have both crashed, so they're out of this race. We've got Verstappen, not Verstappen, Alonso and Perez very close to each other. Alonso is actually very close to overtaking George Russell, in fact. So it's a very nice job there from Fernando Alonso. He's going through now into turn number 11. He just has a slipstream, no DRS just yet. It hasn't been enabled under the safety car after the safety car is finished. But Alonso right on George Russell's tail, and we know Alpine has a lot of top speed, so that's really going to help Fernando Alonso out to try and make some very nice overtakes on that Mercedes. And yeah, we've got pretty much a very long DRS train, all the way from 3rd position all the way down into 17th position. So if DRS gets enabled, which it will next lap, we're going to have a very big train forming. And well, a very big train means a lot of overtaking as well, if there's a little bit of a mistake from a single driver. But talking about, well, going back to the lead of this race, we've got Leclerc once again just pulling away from Max Verstappen. This man has just got so much pace. Verstappen cannot keep up. 1.5 seconds is the gap, so Leclerc is just leading this race, dominating, very much like Michael Schumacher did back in the day. Would just get the lead of this race and then just run away with it. And very similar to Seb Vettel as well back in his Red Bull days. So Charles Leclerc has got the lead of this race and is just running away. Max Verstappen is doing his best to try and keep up, but his first sector times are just not on par with Charles Leclerc. He is just 4/10 slower in the first sector and then half a second slower in the third sector. So that pace is just not where Verstappen needs it to be, really. So Ferrari is very, very quick this season. And the other thing to point out is that the Red Bull car is actually one of the heaviest cars on the entire grid, and the heavier the car, the more tire wear you have. So it's not going to get any better for Max Verstappen. So I think what's going to happen is that we could have a two-stop strategy, but yeah, it really is really rather odd that Verstappen is this far behind Charles Leclerc. Anyway, there are other drivers in the race other than Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, and one of them is Lance Stroll, and he's just made an overtake on Valtteri Bottas. So the Aston Martin looks to have some sort of pace, at least in the race today. They definitely don't have any qualifying pace though, and Stroll is just made a nice overtake on Valtteri Bottas going through into turn number 3. So nice job there from Lance Stroll. And then now we've got a pretty big train. So the DRS trains that are formed are behind Fernando Alonso. We've got Perez, Hamilton, Magnussen, Norris, and Albon, Ricardo and Albon, then Ocon. Actually, yeah, a very big train, all the way from 5th place all the way down into 17th. The DRS train probably is breaking up right now because of dirty air, but nevertheless, a lot of good racing going on. Stroll just overtaken Valtteri. Oh no, I've just said that. Stroll's overtaken Bottas. That was just a replay. Also, under the safety car, there was a little bit of an incident between Michael Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda. Not Michael Schumacher, Mick Schumacher, sorry. And Yuki Tsunoda under the safety car. So we're just going to see what happens there. Mick Schumacher was just a bit too quick on the safety car, and Yuki Tsunoda was caught napping, and it looks like they had a little bit of a collision. So we'll wait and see what the FIA decide to do about that. Perez sets the fastest middle sector, and as he does that, he overtakes Fernando Alonso going through into turn number 3. So a nice overtake there from Sergio Perez on Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso got 30-lap-old medium tyres. We're approaching the halfway point of this race, so it will be only a couple of laps before he decides to pit for the mediums. And when he does, he'll have the faster tyre compared to the rest of the grid by an absolute long shot. So we're going to see a lot of overtaking from Fernando Alonso once he does decide to pit. But now it's kind of just a time management game to try and go as long as possible on those hard tyres without losing as many positions as he can. Well, losing the least positions as he can. But yeah, nevertheless, also guys, if you could hit 2,000 likes, we're 300 likes away, so that'd be crazy. And if we've got 12,000 people watching, so if you guys haven't hit the subscribe button, that would be very much appreciated. We hit 31k subs, which would be absolutely crazy. We're only 600 subscribers away, so that's 12,000 of you watching, so we could definitely hit that, because there's like 95% of you aren't subscribed according to the YouTube stats. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I stream every single weekend for quali and the race. So yeah, be sure to tune in for future races as well. Hamilton makes the overtake on Fernando Alonso. So Alonso once again losing more positions because his hard tyres are really starting to struggle now. 30 laps or so is when you start to struggle on the hard tyres. And saying that, most of these drivers are going to try and do 40 or so laps on these hard tyres. So if Fernando Alonso starts to struggle after 30 laps, all of the rest of the drivers who are trying to do 40 laps on the hard tyres are really going to have a tough time keeping that tyre wear in check and not falling off that cliff. Otherwise, it's going to be a very, very long race for these guys who have done, who are going to try and do 40 laps on those hards. All right, Sergio Perez, another fastest middle sector from him, and he's just chasing down now George Russell to try and get onto the podium. And I think Sergio Perez could do it because the top speed advantage that the Red Bull have compared to the Mercedes is rather large. And with the DRS assistance as well, Perez should be able to breeze past George Russell. All right. What happened to Vettel? Vettel crashed. Vettel spun and then hit the curb and then spun. And then Carlos Sainz has also crashed, and he's out of this race as well. Charles Leclerc has just set another fastest lap of this race. So the fastest lap has now gone from Leclerc to Verstappen to Leclerc back. And yeah, Leclerc is really pulling away now. 3.5 seconds is the gap, and he's really run away with this race. And Verstappen cannot keep him in check whatsoever. So there we go. 3.5 seconds is the gap between those two drivers. And Leclerc with another fastest lap of the race. He's just his pace is absolutely phenomenal. Perez is catching up to George Russell now. The gap is hovering around the 1 second mark. So if Perez can activate a bit of that overtake button, then he's going to get within DRS range, and then yeah, he'll see an overtake he'll see an overtake on George Russell, or at least try one. So Kevin Magnussen's just been told over the radio that he's been doing some very good, consistent laps. He's lapping in the 1 minute 25s, whereas the rest of the field is lapping in the 1 minute 23s and 24s. But of course, those two drivers are on the 30 lap old hard tires, so it's a pretty big struggle for them. And they're doing a pretty nice job of keeping those tires in check. We'll see how much longer they can go before they start to wear out. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out for them, because once they do eventually pit, they're going to come out on medium tires when everyone else is on really old hard tires. So we're going to see a lot of overtaking there when they do eventually pit. It will just be a matter of time, though. We'll see how long it goes. Yeah. All right. We've got some team radio from Lewis Hamilton, who's currently in 5th position. Let's see what he has to say.
Let me know where I'm down, mate.
Yeah, copy. We'll get a lapping clear here. We'll let you know. All cars ahead have stopped. I think everyone will be going to the end.
So Mercedes think everyone will be going to the end. And if they think everyone's going to the end, then Verstappen's going to have a very tough time managing those tires. He's got 40 laps to do on those hard tires in total. So yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for him. Also, Sergio Perez getting dangerously close to overtaking George Russell at turn number 11 there. He has the DRS, of course, because it's been enabled. And he's within the DRS range, and another fastest second sector for him. And yeah, Perez is really putting a lot of pressure on George Russell. We'll see how he handles it, and if he can actually make an overtake happen there. But Perez is getting closer and closer, and that DRS is really helping him out. Going through turn number 1, he loses a bit of time because of the dirty air, but he gains it right back because of slipstream and DRS. Lando Norris makes the overtake on Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen now falling back a bit because of those hard tyres really starting to struggle. And he's now down into 8th position. And we've got, Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo will probably make the overtake on Kevin Magnussen very, very soon as well. But we'll see how Magnussen defends against him. All right. Leclerc with another fastest lap of the race. Leclerc is just pulling away once again. Gap now 4.5 seconds. It's extended that by 1 full second again. So very nice job there. Russell and Perez have both battling, and a very nice job indeed of George Russell to actually stay ahead. But I think it's going to be only a matter of time before George Russell runs out of battery, and then we'll have to eventually give up the fight against Sergio Perez. But this is very, very interesting indeed, and how George Russell's actually coping under the pressure, because we've seen George Russell battle in the lower positions, down in 10th maybe, or 8th or something, but he's now on the podium. He's fighting for the podium against Sergio Perez, and we'll just have to wait and see how he performs. 4 tenths is the gap going down the straight once again. Going into turn number 3, he still maintains that lead over Sergio Perez, and Perez is really pushing him to the absolute limit now. Their first sector times are getting slower and slower, so they're getting caught up in battles, and that's helping Lewis Hamilton actually catch up to Sergio Perez. So a very nice job there. How did Russell pass Hamilton? Russell passed Hamilton because Russell pitted under the safety car. Well, basically what Mercedes did, they pitted Hamilton first, and then they were going to pit George Russell the lap after, but then the thing happened is the safety car came out, so George Russell got a free pit stop, and and undercut Lewis Hamilton because of the safety car pit stop. And yeah, that's what happened there. Perez and Russell, now 0.3 of a second is the gap between those two drivers. They're now coming out the final corner. And it's just going to be all. I think what Sergio Perez really needs to do is save a bit of battery, cool those tires down a bit, and then go for one very big attack on George Russell, because putting these constant attacks that he's doing right now are really not paying off so well, because he's attacking every so often, but the pace isn't, like, he's not got a massive pace advantage. You need a pretty big pace advantage to overtake. So Sergio Perez really has to save that battery up and do this a bit strategically. Otherwise, he's going to really overheat his tires being stuck behind George Russell's car for a rather long time. Also, the incident between Yuki Tsunoda, Mick Schumacher, and Pierre Gasly is going to be investigated after the race. It was just a bit of a safety car infringement. I think one of the drivers went a bit too early, or they were not single file under the safety car line. So that's why I think they're going to investigate that after the race. I don't think it particularly matters too much, considering Gasly, Schumacher, and Mick and Tsunoda are all out of the points anyway. Perez, though, does make the overtake down into turn number 11 on George Russell. Yeah, I've just missed that. But going through into turn number 11, he had the DRS and the slipstream, got a very nice run out of turn number 10, and then tucked right in and then just pulled out at the last second and sent one down the inside. And there we go. George Russell is down into 4th, and Sergio Perez is up into 3rd. So we have now a Ferrari, Red Bull podium. So this is what we were actually not expecting. We weren't expecting Sergio Perez to actually be close to Max Verstappen in terms of pace, because usually what we saw last year around was we had Verstappen right at the top of the field, and then we had Sergio Perez slightly further down, well, about half a second behind him. But Perez has really picked up his pace this year. And he's done a very good job indeed. He outqualified Max Verstappen in Saudi Arabia and was very close to Verstappen's qualifying in Q2. In Q3, slightly dropped off, but nevertheless, Perez has really improved as a teammate, and that's really going to help Red Bull mount a title battle for the Constructors' Championship as well. We know last year around, Red Bull won the Drivers' Championship, but they didn't win the Constructors, of course, because Sergio Perez just wasn't consistent enough and couldn't challenge Valtteri Bottas in terms of race pace. So Perez doing a good job here, and it looks to be Carlos Sainz. We were expecting at the start of the season that Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, they were very evenly matched, that they were going to win the Constructors, and maybe we could see a battle between Leclerc and Verstappen for the drivers, but it looks to be roles reversed, with Red Bull being pretty comfortable for the Constructors' Championship and Ferrari struggling for that. So yeah, very interesting indeed. And we've got Max Verstappen now with a fastest lap of the race, a fastest 3rd sector as well. The 3rd sector is one of the trickier sectors. It's a very slow speed corner. So if you're fast in the 3rd sector, it means you've got quite a bit of tyre life left. And Verstappen also did set a fastest 3rd sector. So a very nice job indeed. Also, just another thing to point out now, Fernando Alonso has done 37 laps on those hard tyres, and so has Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon. Those drivers have done 37 laps, and if those drivers can do 37 laps on those hard tyres, it's pretty certain that the rest of the drivers can go to the end of the race on the hard tyres. So it looks to be a one-stop race unless we see a safety car right at the end with like 10 or 20 laps, 10 or 15 laps left to go. I think all of the drivers will be going to the end on these set of tyres, which is actually quite a good thing, because looking at the gap between most of the drivers, is hovering around about 1 second, especially from Kevin Magnussen all the way to the from Kevin Magnussen, who's in 9th, all the way to Guan Yu Zhou, who's in 16th. There's a very big train that's formed. I don't know exactly why this map is frozen. All right, there we go. It's restarted again. But yeah, so it's a pretty good. Verstappen's lost 3 positions. What is he doing? Is he stuck on track? As we were saying, Verstappen was doing a very nice job indeed, but he looks to have just stopped on track outside turn number 1. Has he had a crash? Right. Well, I'll find out what's happened to Max Verstappen. If any of you guys, if any of the mods can let me know what's happened, then that would be appreciated. But Max Verstappen, we've got a virtual safety car, all right. And we're probably going to see another full safety car, let's be honest, because of the fact that, well, Max Verstappen's just stuck on the track, which is rather, well, not ideal, really. Don't know exactly what happened to him. Yeah, Verstappen is definitely out of this race. I'll find out what's happened to him. Engine failure. Engine failure for Max Verstappen. All right. Yeah, not great. So there we go. Smoke coming out of his car, and they've told him to stop the car outside turn number 2. We've got a virtual safety car. As far as I can tell, what they're going to be doing is just put Max Verstappen's car onto a trailer and then take that in to the pit lane. But yeah, another safety car, but this time at least it's a virtual safety car. And yeah, engine failure for Max Verstappen. Right, let's listen to the team radio. Right there, we've got some team radio. So let's listen to Verstappen's radio.
Okay, Max, stop the car, please.
Yeah, so just that's pretty simple. They started to see some issues with the car, and he is now out of this race. He was actually in second place. So yeah, Verstappen was doing a very good job indeed. Probably could have secured that second place as well, but he has parked up at the end of turn number 2. It's just a virtual safety car because there is there's like an exit to the road, very, very easy indeed, like very close. So yeah, Max Verstappen is out of this race. Rather unfortunate indeed. Checo is in P2, and yeah, there's still 19 laps left to go. Oh yeah, also to point out, this engine failure might have been caused by the fact that it is overheating. Well, it's not. It might. Well, yeah, caused by its overheating, because in Melbourne it's rather hot, and the past 2 races that we've had, they've been at night races. So what's happened? Where is Sainz? Sainz is out of this race. He's like stuck under this thing. But anyway, point being, that the past 2 races were in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, and both of those countries are desert countries. And once it's nighttime in the desert, it does get very, very cold indeed. And they were both night races. So I have a feeling that when they were racing in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, they had cold air going into their engines, because obviously it's in the desert, it's very cold at the nighttime at least. And now they're in Melbourne here. It's 30 degrees, and all of the air that they're putting into their engine is also 30 degrees. So yeah, that's probably what the overheating issue has been caused by. Max Verstappen has just said, "I smell some weird fluid." So that's probably going to be some hydraulic fluid that I'm expecting. Magnussen, Alonso. Okay, so I'm just going to point this out. Magnussen and Alonso have both pitted under the virtual safety car. Oh, sorry, it's green flag. Sorry, that's my fault. We're back to green flag racing, but Kevin Magnussen and Fernando Alonso have both pitted under the virtual safety car, and they've come out in 13th and 17th place, respectively. Alex Albon's still yet to pit. I don't know exactly why he didn't pit under the safety car. Vettel is out of this race. Guys, you could really stop spamming. Like, just look at the map. It says Vettel 19th place, out of the race. So, right. But this is what I'm saying is that the hot air in Melbourne, the fact that it was a day race and it's also very hot in Melbourne, probably caused this overheating issue for the Red Bulls. We saw previous Red Bull retirements. We had Pierre Gasly out this race. We had a double Red Bull DNF in Bahrain. In Saudi Arabia, I think we had Yuki Tsunoda who couldn't even start the race because of engine issues. So yeah, the Red Bull engine is really not doing that well. And yeah, there we go. All right. But we are now 16 laps away from the end of this race, and Leclerc has got a massive 12-second lead over Sergio Perez. Hamilton and Russell are now closing in on each other. Hamilton now 1.5 seconds behind George Russell, and we could probably see a battle between the two Mercedes, which I'd love to see, by the way. And hopefully, if both of them can get taken out, and then we can see Lando Norris on the podium, would be lovely. But yeah, we have now got. Yeah, George, it's James. Let Lewis past. He's faster. If that happens on the radio, then I don't think George Russell will have any of it. He's just going to go, well, you said on the contract that we were equal drivers, so let him overtake me on track. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure in the contract that they had, it was they're equal drivers, and it wasn't like Valtteri Bottas is you're a number 2 and Hamilton's a number 1. But we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Also, as we've hit 2,000 likes, so that's very nice. But if we could hit a couple more, and also I think we're pretty close to hitting 31k subs. So yeah, if you guys haven't subscribed, be sure to do so. Yeah, we're 300 subscribers away. So we've got 95% of you aren't subscribed, so be sure to do so. All right. Bottas wasn't a number 2. Hamilton was just faster. Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I mean, Bottas was definitely a number 2 sometimes because they just told Bottas to just block some other driver and then pit really early. But yeah. So let's get back to this race, though. We have now got Gasly, Bottas, and Schumacher all very, very close to each other. And behind all 3 of those drivers, there's a DRS train between Gasly, Bottas, and Schumacher. But Fernando Alonso, on his fresh set of medium tyres, is going to be, hunting them down, basically. He's got 14 laps, till the end of this race to try and gain as many positions as he can. He's got a fresh set of medium, whereas everyone else is on very old sets of hard tires. So it will be rather easy for Fernando Alonso to make some overtakes, because he's got an Alpine, and the Alpine is a rocket ship going down the straights. So yeah, very nice job there for Fernando Alonso. He's just got a lot of overtaking to do now. He's caught up to the back of Mick Schumacher. He'll get the DRS as well. And there we go. Yash Bagger is spamming in the chat. F1 gamer, big fan. Well, if you're a big fan, you probably wouldn't be spamming in the chat. Yeah, like, why would you spam? Like, there's literally no point. Right. So as a Red Bull fan, I'm disappointed by their powertrain's limited engine. Could you mark the DRS detection zone? Basically, where is the DRS detection point? The DRS zones are along. They're like at the dotted bits of the map. I can't exactly show you because the map isn't great, really. But yeah, there we go. The Red Bull powertrains, yeah. So what happened was last year, Honda decided to pull out of the Red Bull, of like the F1 deal kind of thing. They were like, we're not going to make any more engines because we're going for like a clean, carbon neutral future kind of stuff. So they stopped making the engines, and Red Bull bought their factory. And yeah, Red Bull bought their factory, and Red Bull are now making the engines, and they're really not doing so well. Well, obviously they're not doing so well. They've had so many DNFs. It's really not looking that great for them. And yeah, we'll just wait and see how that goes, and if they can fix the reliability issues. Only 5 engines are allowed per year, but you can have 3 engines, but then you can get more. You can take as many engines as you want. You just have to get a penalty after that. After Honda left, the VTEC is gone, yeah, and the reliability is also gone. All right, Fernando Alonso has just made the overtake on Mick Schumacher, so I'm just going to talk you through what happened there. Going through into turn number 3, Fernando Alonso got a great run out of turn number 1, just slipstreamed Mick Schumacher with the DRS as well, assistance going down into turn number 3. The extra top speed, he just breezed past him down the inside, and a solid overtake from Fernando Alonso. Next up on his overtake list is Valtteri Bottas, who's actually battling away with Pierre Gasly, which is just going to help Fernando Alonso catch up all the faster, really. So a nice battle there between Gasly and Bottas, but Fernando Alonso is going to come and overtake them both in a couple of laps here. Why is Ricciardo not going past Norris? Ricciardo is 2 seconds behind Norris, so he's not any faster than him as well. So yeah, their lap times are pretty similar. In fact, Ricciardo's are slightly slower than Norris is, so that's why Ricciardo is behind him. Also, the battle at the front, Russell versus Hamilton. Both of those drivers are, both of those drivers are not battling each other because Hamilton just doesn't have the pace to catch up to Russell. So Russell's doing a pretty good job of managing his pace out there and keeping Lewis Hamilton behind him. Also, Kevin Magnussen makes the overtake on Yuki Tsunoda. So Kevin Magnussen was the driver that did... was one of the other drivers alongside Fernando Alonso that pitted on the virtual safety car and got a fresh set of medium tyres. And that is why both Fernando Alonso and Kevin Magnussen are just making lots of progress further up the field now. Yeah, Russell was told to manage, not push. All right. Ooh. When is Albon going to pit? He definitely does need to pit. I don't know why he hasn't pitted yet. I think what they're doing is just waiting for another safety car. But we'll just have to wait and see what actually happens there when he decides to pit. Rather odd strategy, but if he does pit, he's going to come out in... If he pits normally, like not under virtual safety car conditions or safety car conditions, he's going to come out in last position or second to last position. So I think what they're doing is just trying to keep it out for as long as possible. And I mean, Latifi still hasn't crashed yet, so there is a chance that we could get a crash from Latifi and then a safety car. But we'll just have to wait and see. All right. We have now Esteban Ocon, who's actually trying to overtake Alex Albon. Ocon's tyres are 30 laps old. Alex Albon's tyres are 46 laps old. So it should be a rather simple overtake for Esteban Ocon, but we'll wait and see how that actually happens and if he can actually make that stick. Because, 30 lap old hard tyres still pretty difficult to manage. And the gap at the front was previously 12 seconds. Now it's been extended to 14.5 seconds. So, Charles Leclerc has got the fastest lap of the race, and he is pulling away every single lap because his pace is just that much quicker than Sergio Perez. So a very nice job there from Charles Leclerc, just managing the race from the front. And actually Charles Leclerc has won every single race that he's got a pole position from. So the odds are very much in his favour, and we'll see if Charles Leclerc can carry on and actually go on and win this race. All right. Also, guys, if you haven't, if you do like F1 memes, then I do have an Instagram account where I post F1 memes. It's F1_gamer_5 on Instagram and Twitter. So go ahead and follow me on there. Also, we're pretty close to getting 31k subscribers. So yeah, only 150 subscribers away. So go ahead and follow me on. Go ahead and subscribe. And hopefully we can hit 31k subs, which will be crazy. We have now got 10 laps left of this race, and we've got Fernando Alonso has now caught up to Valtteri Bottas. So a very nice job there from Fernando Alonso. Wow, we've got 3 people. I've just got 3 notifications come through that 3 people have started following me. Lovely. Fernando Alonso has now has gaining on Valtteri Bottas. And the problem is now Fernando Alonso overtook the last person in the DRS train, but he's not getting any closer to Valtteri Bottas. And the other thing is Valtteri Bottas is just at a fastest middle sector because he's just had a very big toe off Pierre Gasly, and he's getting closer and closer to make an overtake. But the problem is turn number 9 and 10 is basically it's a very high speed chicane. It would be very, very risky to try and make an overtake going through into there. So that's why Bottas didn't actually go for an overtake. And he's just been doing a nice job there. Also, the other thing is Charles Leclerc has just set a fastest middle sector without any slipstream. The middle sector, by the way, is basically just a long straight with a bit of like a little curve in it. And Leclerc has set the fastest middle sector without any slipstream. Very, very interesting I don't know how he's done that. I guess he's just that Ferrari power unit has got a lot of juice in it. What happened to Max? Max had an engine failure. DRS, yeah, so that's why he is out of this race. And Charles Leclerc, another fastest lap of the race. All three sectors are purple. A very nice job indeed from Charles Leclerc to just carry on going. And yeah, just so much, great performance from him, to be honest. And yeah. All right, we've now got a pretty big battle between. Well, we've got a pretty big train formed behind. What's it called? Lance Stroll. Lance Stroll's in 9th place. He's done a very good job indeed. He started the race off. He went in and pitted onto the medium tires, and then came on to the hard tires. And did a second stop on the hard tires as well. And he's just been managing his tires for the entire race. He started the race down in 17th, 18th place, I think it was. It was 19th place. He started the race, and now he's in 9th place. So he's gained 10 positions overall. Admittedly, he gained 3 because of DNFs, but nevertheless, he's been doing a good job up until right now, where Pierre Gasly has just overtaken him. Because Pierre Gasly's just got more pace. It's not even tyre difference. Pierre Gasly just sent one down the inside at turn number 1, and Lance Stroll just let him straight by. He couldn't fight it really, because once you've got a certain age of hard tyres, you really can't do much. Will Magnussen be able to get into the top 10 with his medium tyres? I don't think he will, because if you look at Fernando Alonso, who on paper had a lot of pace, he has been struggling to overtake Valtteri Bottas for quite a while. I mean, we've seen Magnussen, he's overtaken Mick Schumacher. I think that might have been team orders, because he's on a fresh set of mediums. But problem is that Alonso can't get close to Bottas, and Bottas is in 11th place. So unless Alonso can somehow close the gap to Valtteri Bottas and make an overtake on him, he's not going to get in the points. And even if he does get into the points, the highest he could probably get is 9th position, because after 9th is a 10-second gap to Esteban Ocon, which will be pretty much impossible to close. We're on lap 51 of 58. And yeah, all right, what was I going to say? We actually haven't had a single lapped car just yet, because we've had so many safety cars in this entire race. There hasn't been a single lapped car. Leclerc is now just closing up on Nicholas Latifi. But yeah, I don't know exactly what Alex Albon is doing. He might end up doing just like 5 laps on the soft tires. But yeah, pretty crazy strategy there. Also, the battle at the front between the two Mercedes, which we thought wasn't going to happen, it looks like Hamilton's just picked up the pace a bit and is now 1.2 seconds behind George Russell. So I think we could see in the final couple of laps a battle for the podium between the two Mercedes drivers. Bottas has just overtaken Lance Stroll. So a nice job there from Valtteri Bottas. Stroll is now dropping down through the field. He was in 9th place, but Gasly and Bottas have both overtaken him. And yeah. All right. Let's see. Leclerc with another fastest second sector. How is he doing fastest second sectors with no slipstream? I mean, look at this, right? So if we look at the top speed information, we have now Charles Leclerc with the highest top speed of 300 kilometers an hour, and Perez with the highest top speed of 313. The reason Leclerc's top speed isn't that high is because he's got because he hasn't had DRS from anyone, because he's just been leading the race the entire time. So he hasn't got DRS, and that's why his top speed is so low. But I don't get how he's setting fastest second sectors if he's got no slipstream or DRS. But yeah, Charles Leclerc doing a very good job indeed of managing the race from the front. We've got 14,000 people watching. Everyone that hasn't subscribed, please be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. And if you haven't hit the like button as well, it really does help out. Basically tells YouTube that you're loving the stream, and then it tells all of you, the F1 fans, to come watch it. So go ahead and hit that like button and the subscribe button as well. Lewis is conserving tyres. Well, I don't think Lewis is actually conserving tyres that much, because he's now 1.1 seconds behind George Russell. I think what he's going to do is try and mount an attack right at the end of the race when there's 2 or 3 laps left to go, because that would make sense of when to do it, really. Also, the other thing is that we are we're 9 subscribers away from hitting 31k subscribers. So if we could hit 31k subscribers, that would be absolutely lovely. Yeah, we're 9 subscribers away. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And if you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and do that as well. But we're now coming into the closing stages of this race. 5 laps left to go, and we have now got a battle on our hands between Esteban Ocon and Alex Albon. Alex Albon has done 52 laps on those hard tyres. I have no idea how he's in, 54 laps in fact. I have no idea how he's been staying out. And his pace as well, in the 1 minute 22 is a solid pace. I mean, if we look at George Russell's pace, if we look at Hamilton's pace, Hamilton's last lap, Alex Albon was quicker than Hamilton on the last lap. And Hamilton has got 30 lap old tyres, and Alex Albon's got 52 lap old tyres. So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but Alex Albon has done an absolutely stellar job of managing those tyres. And yeah. All right, Mick Schumacher has just made the overtake on Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso has actually dropped quite a lot of positions. I don't know exactly what happened to him. I think we'll see what happened to Fernando Alonso, in fact, because he was all the way up in, 10th, 11th place, stuck behind Valtteri Bottas, but now he's down in 15th. And also, I'd just like to say we've hit 31k subscribers, so thank you everyone for hitting that subscribe button. Very much do appreciate all your support. All right, so let's see what happened to Fernando Alonso. I mean, if the channel keeps on growing like this, we could probably hit 50k subs by the end of this year, which would be pretty crazy. Okay, so we had Fernando Alonso coming into the pits. I think he might have got a damaged front wing, to be honest, because I don't see why you'd come into the pits now. Yeah, so he loses 2 places to Guan Yu Zhou and Kevin Magnussen. And then, yeah, he's just had a really bad lap, I think, and then he's just come into the pits now. We'll see which tyres he comes out on, but I don't know why he would come out on any other tyres. Oh no, he's out of this race, I think. Yeah. Fernando Alonso has decided to retire, I think. So that's what's happened there. So we got 15. Why would Leclerc even try to pass Latifi? Well, yeah, Leclerc's actually just come up on traffic here. So Latifi better watch out and not crash into the race leader, because that would be a very bad idea. Also, we were saying that there was going to be a battle between Russell and Hamilton. Russell has just decided to pick up the pace, and Hamilton can't keep up with the pace increase from George Russell. So, yeah, there we go. George Russell is still maintaining that 3rd position, and Lewis Hamilton is still in 4th. Alonso has DNF'd. Yep, Alonso's retired from this race, and Nicholas Latifi is the first driver to be lapped. Next up on drivers getting lapped is Yuki Tsunoda and Mick Schumacher, but yeah, those drivers not having the best of weekends, really. And yeah, we've had four DNFs, in fact, from the drivers today. We've had Carlos Sainz DNF on lap number 1 because of him crashing because he didn't have enough grip. We have a DNF round halfway through the race from Seb Vettel because he spun on a curb, and then I think his engine stopped or something. I'm not exactly sure why he stopped. And then we had Max Verstappen, who had an engine failure, and then Fernando Alonso, who just lost a bunch of positions and then just decided to come into the pits, I think. So, yeah, 4 DNFs from the drivers. We're on lap 56 of 58. And yeah, it's getting close to the end of the race now. 2 laps left to go. And we've got Leclerc with a massive 20-second advantage over Sergio Perez. Absolutely crazy. And Alex Albon as well is still yet to pit. He still has not pitted. I don't know what Alex Albon is doing, but he's still not pitted. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to come out on the last lap on soft tyres to try and come out ahead. I'm not exactly sure. Or are they just going to be like, oh yeah, I hope the FIA don't notice that we haven't pitted. But yeah, nevertheless, Alex Albon, his pace has been absolutely extraordinary, considering he's done 55 laps, nearly the entire race on those set of hard tyres. Absolutely astonishing pace there from Alex Albon. And yeah, there we go. Why is Alonso still moving? Alonso hasn't retired? It literally comes up, it says here that he's retired. Oh, okay, well, apparently not. He's He's just behind Latifi. Yeah. Oh, Alonso must have come in for another pit stop. Oh, he came in for another pit stop. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's my mistake. Alonso came in for another pit stop. I think he might have damaged his front wing or something. But yeah, this is now the final, well, one more lap after this lap, but the second penultimate lap of the race. If Williams box at the end of the tyres, yeah, well, hopefully Alex Albon comes in. Otherwise, he's going to get disqualified for not using both sets of tyres. Let's see now. Does he come into the pit lane? No, he doesn't. He's going to pit on literally the final lap of the race. I don't know what he's going to gain out of doing that, but I guess if he gains some sort of time, then it's going to benefit him somehow. But yeah, very very odd strategy. All right. Gap between Russell and Hamilton is still 1.9 seconds, so a very pretty consistent gap there. Albon is not pitting. No, he will pit. It's a final lap of the race now. Leclerc started the final lap, but Albon is still yet to pit. All right, Leclerc is on the final lap of the race now with a massive 20-second advantage. It looks pretty clear to say that Leclerc is going to win this race. We've got 16,000 people watching. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Also, by the way, I am streaming for the next race. I don't know exactly where the next race is, in fact, but I will be streaming the qualifying and the race. Oh yeah, it's in Italy, so in Imola. So yeah, I will be streaming the qualifying and the race, so be sure to tune in for that. Leclerc on the final lap, fastest first sector, fastest second sector. And I suspect he will also get a fastest third sector as well. The next Grand Prix is in 2 weeks' time. I will be streaming that. So if you've enjoyed today's stream, be sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future streams. Alex Albon has finally come into the pits. And here we have now Charles Leclerc now just coming out the final corner, doing an absolutely amazing job. All race round. He has the fastest lap of the race. He crosses the line and he gets his fourth Grand Prix victory in Formula One, and he's got it from pole position once again. Solid job there from Charles Leclerc. I mean, 20 seconds, it's going to be a long time till Sergio Perez even crosses the line. What a race from Charles Leclerc. I mean, Alex Albon finally comes out on a soft set of tyres. Very interesting strategy. I don't know why he's done that. He's in 10th position. That's why. He stayed out so long that he started in 20th. He's now up into 10th, and he's on soft tyres. So maybe he could. Well, he's going to get that 10th position really. So there we go. And then we have now Sergio Perez, who's crossed the line. Solid job from him. Rather unfortunate that Max Verstappen had an engine failure. And then George Russell comes home to get his first podium for Mercedes in third position. So a solid job there from George Russell. Hamilton in fourth. McLaren in fifth and sixth. Both of the drivers bounced back very, very well. And Ricciardo got dangerously close to even overtaking Lando Norris on the finish line. But both McLaren drivers very, very happy with the progress that they made. It was one big upgrade that McLaren brought, and they went all the way from third slowest car to now fourth fastest car. So very nice job indeed. All right. And then the rest of the drivers now crossing line. Esteban Ocon is just been sat there really in the points, just putting in consistent lap after consistent lap. And the same goes for Valtteri Bottas and Pierre Gasly. Those drivers, they started on the outside of the top 10, but then the drivers in the top 10 actually had a couple of DNFs. So that is why they got up into the top 10 and scored some points. Alex Albon had one hell of a drive. He was in 20th position at the start of this race, and went and did 57 laps on hard tires, and then pitted on the final lap of the race to come in 10th position. What a massive overcut. I mean, the Williams strategists, their brain is literally so large right now. And then we have Guan Yu Zhou in 11th place, and then Lance Stroll in 12th. Mick Schumacher, Kevin Magnussen in 13th and 14th. And Yuki Tsunoda in 15th, Latifi in 16th. He didn't crash today, pretty crazy. And then Fernando Alonso in 17th, after coming in for a second pit stop. All right. I would say, yeah, Alex Albon is definitely driver of the day. He had an amazing job, all race round, really. And yeah. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll probably stay on stream for maybe 2-3 more minutes. But yeah, I will be streaming the race in Imola in 2 weeks' time. So if you haven't subscribed or you haven't turned on the notification bell, be sure to turn that on so you don't miss that race and don't miss the start of the stream. And also, it's going to be a sprint race that weekend. So be sure to tune in for that. And yeah, pretty good. It's a sprint race that weekend, so look forward to that. We have qualifying on the Friday, and then the sprint race on Saturday, and then the race on Sunday. Yeah, so all right. So guys, what would you rate that race out of 10? Or what would you rate that race out of 10? Really, I would say it's a pretty solid 7 or 8 out of 10. A very very interesting race indeed. And yeah, I mean, it was very unfortunate that Max Verstappen actually DNF'd. But nevertheless, it was a very nice drive from Charles Leclerc, managing the race from the front, very much like Michael Schumacher. But yeah, 6 or 7, most of you guys, and then I think the Ferrari fans are rating it 10 out of 10. But yeah, very nice race indeed. 7, 8, yeah. It hasn't been like a crazy race with a bunch of overtakes. We had a lot of safety cars and a lot of action in the midfield as well. All right. Wow, a lot of people have just hit the subscribe button. Yeah, make sure that you don't that you haven't forgot. And yeah, what a race it has been. Thank you everyone for your great support in the chat. And yeah. Let's see how many subscribers are on. Yeah, 31k. Very crazy. 31.3k. Yeah, no Latifi crash. Absolutely unbelievable. All right. Leclerc trying to be Lightning McQueen. Yeah. Well, I mean, if Leclerc hadn't pit for the entire race and then had a puncture in the final lap, then that would be like Lightning McQueen style. But yeah, he did a very good job, did Charles Leclerc. Where is the next race? The next race is in Imola. Yeah, in Imola, in Italy. The Ferrari fans are going to be absolutely crazy, especially since Ferrari actually have a fast car this year. I can suspect the Ferrari fans are going to be losing their minds. Yeah. Ooh. All right, guys. It has been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate all the support. We've hit 31k subscribers now. Absolutely out of this world. And yeah, I will probably be well, I'm definitely going to be commentating for the qualifying sprint race and full race in Imola. And I look forward to seeing you at that race. But yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Have a nice morning, day, afternoon, or evening, or night, depending on where you are in the world. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Cheers, fellas.